Hello guys, it's time for another Bizarro Report. Probably I'll keep this short because obviously there aren't any massive features to show. Also, I did some more work on the menu. I did some refactoring so that I can add a menu and the sub menu and any kinds of sub menus. I used to have the invert mouse on the main menu, but now there is a sub menu, and I made it work also from within the game. And I made a nice. It's a placeholder. You will see. Maybe I should just run it. I'm running the PC port. This is a very ugly, very basic, border around this purple thing. And now I have the options first. Select level, difficult, and start. And if I press A on the options, I get in the other menu. And I can choose the control type. I might put some explanation for that here. I might have some help screen. I'll see how I'm gonna do it. Type A is just pad. Type B and C is with mouse. I might have to have some help screen. The invert, whether it's for the invert of the vertical look for the mouse or the D-pad, and the sensitivity is only for the mouse. And maybe I have to change something about that. I just remember. So, and now if you press B, you go back. So here you go forward, you go back. And if you press it here, nothing happens. You have to press left to right. So I have the menu and the sub menu. And you press the start. And now I did something very nice. Let's see. Okay, let's see. This is my mouse. Oh, I need to change the mouse. Look. If I press select, and this is what's happening. I have only the menu, and I made it to go to the sub menu. If I press B, it doesn't go in the main menu. The main menu was to start a new game, select 11. Now my goal is to make, it's not gonna be this, it's gonna be another menu. This could be a third sub menu. A menu that would have options, control options, rendering options, and maybe it has a save. And maybe if you want to restart or quit game and go back to main menu. And I made this nice. I love doing this rendering, both the transparency, and if you notice, it's gonna darken and blur the background. Now you might see the letters. My mouse is captured, but those here, yeah, it's because I've done a dirty blur. And this blur happens when you press the. See, it's gonna construct this image. Now let's change my. And also the control work now here. You can change. You can say, okay, control type B. And now I'm using the mouse. And I move with the D-pad and the mouse. And if I press this, control type C is still the mouse, but the D-pad works differently so that you can catch the controller vertically. It's something that I need to do some help, or maybe just some manual in a PDF form. And sensitivity is too much now. If I put 4, I have to reduce that. I have to make 1 very slow. Maybe I'll try that now because it's easy. Because this is... But the cool thing is you press and it makes a nice transparent menu. And it blurs the background too. That's the coolest thing I did today. The submenu, option submenu, I did it previous days. And I used to have some other versions. Because now it's a bit costly, but it's okay even in the real 3D, it's okay. You might notice, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna go now to the, and build this thing. I'm going to run Phoenix. I'm going to yeah, normal speed. It's still okay. Because what I'm doing is, I have a version where I grab the last frame from the game, and then I use it as an extra background. So here you have this Bizarro underground background, this plain background, and I might even change it. I might make it a bit more interesting. But in game, it's not using the Bizarro underground background. It's using the last frame from the game. It copies the last frame to an off-screen buffer, which I render back using the sport. I'm using the sport. So I have the double buffer, two mainframe buffers, and the third one where I temporarily copy that. Whenever I press, we're gonna start that now. It's gonna take time to load. So I did something like that. And initially I was just copying the screen, then I copied and did some, using the CPU, I was doing some manipulation to make it darker. And now I'm literally blurring it with the CPU. And I thought, oh, there would be a delay between pressing the... So every time it prepares the last frame and does some extra processing. So now let's see. So when I press the select, you see there is a bit of delay. Bam. It's faster. When I press the select, it goes faster. And if I am to put some arm multiplier, this is faster now. So that was something I was afraid. I did a kind of dirty blur. And in 16-bit it's kind of weird. Oh, and I forgot to show you, it doesn't look good there. It's a dirty blur with the stars. Ah, you have, come on. Do you see, maybe it's not visible because it's darkened. It's because of the way of the 3DO video RAM and the way I'm doing it in a dirty way by reading 32-bit values, reading many pixels at the same time, 2 pixels and up, down, left, right. And I was afraid, but I think it's okay. It's okay if I want to keep this, if I want to do the blur. Because every play, okay, I'll show you. I'll show you the original version. Oh, it's on game. So if you are in game and you press the select, if you press the joy button select, prepare menu, and I set the screen state to the screen menu. So I have game states, screen menu, screen game, screen end. So if I am in game and change the state to screen menu later, if the game is running, it's gonna run the game loop. If the menu is running, it's gonna run the menu. Now, if it's in game, I have a boolean in game so that I know it's not gonna show the default background. It's gonna show the in-game background. I have the end screen and screen empty, nothing. And here, now I used to show some stats for memory. I'm gonna make an inventory system and maybe a crafting system when you press the start in game. So I set the screen state to that, and I also call the function that switches to option menu, current menu. Here is what I did. So I used to refactor things so that I can easily have a menu struct with a lot of things. It might have a menu pointer back. So I have the main menu and the options menu. Now this would be the control menu. I might make an options menu, and then I might make controls, rendering, and other kinds of things as this grow up. But I made it like this. It used to be hard coded and only the main menu. I changed a lot of things here so that I can create a new menu, number of items, some other things I'm passing. How many values each of the menu item has, what are the texts. I'm passing these text options, select, difficulty, stand. I tried to automate. I did that in Optidum too. But in this one, I didn't copy the code from Optidum. I just did it from scratch. And maybe it's simpler than the thing. In Optidum, I had function pointers that I was passing. I think. So that automatically you said if I am in the menu options and I click that function pointer should run, and I had separate functions. Here I'm just having a script that says, okay, if you are in the main menu, if you are in the other menu, do something if the option is this. So create a menu. Where the hell is it? Yeah, so I'm creating the main menu and the option, and I just say, okay, the options menu back. If you press the B button to go back, so it's like the parent. Okay, this is my parent. I have a pointer to back. I don't have a pointer forward. And I would have to do it for every item of a menu. I haven't done it. I do it more manually. So why was I here? I altered something. I was here. So I'm switching the current menu, which is another point, is now the options. And it happens that on my script, I say if the button B is pressed, if the current menu back exists, and it's not the case. This is something in game that tells you, it gets back a boolean that tells you, am I in game or am I not? So that you cannot go back to the main menu unless you're outside of the game. And current menu back equals menu main. If this is not true, we're in game and it's required, because maybe I'll put other menus that you should be able to navigate. So you see, I have made some kind of logic, and in the future I will be much easier being able to add stuff. So I set the screen state to the screen menu, and I switched to the current menu to be the options menu and not the main menu. So when the screen appears, you will be on the options menu with the controls and all that stuff, and you will not be able to go from within game to the main menu. which I think makes sense. Maybe I'll have an option to quit the current game, and that will take you back completely. Uh, but the border is prepared, so I thought it would be nice to have a different background and probably to be able to see the game. And here, in the initialization, I have set up 2 frame buffers for double buffering. I can have more, and there is a good reason to have more. And one off-screen buffer. I have this kind of macros that I'm passing for some options in the initialization. And I need the back buffer. Initially, I was doing this. I was copying. So if I press select and stop, I was copying the video RAM buffer, the last frame in the video RAM buffer, and that could be either of the 2 frames, whatever came last, it doesn't matter. I'm getting the back buffer by it's the back buffer, the first back buffer at 0. And I was doing just a copy. Now this one, it just copies the same, and it's also much faster because there is no heavy processing. But I quickly noticed something. Obviously, now I cannot read it. But it was still cool. So I started doing other things. I made this. This is kinda better. Darken menu in-game. Even that could be sufficient. If the blur was really slow. This one is not gonna blur, it's gonna just darken things. And this is good enough. You can read it. I could have that one and not the blurry one. I thought the blurry one is cool. That's already enough. And I also had some values for... I'm doing a trick here. It's a dirty way. You know, the video RAM is 1 pixel is 16-bit. So, but I thought I could do 2 pixels at once, and I made some plans to that maybe I can shift the values, but there was some bleeding of values, so I had to end with. So I'm having a tight loop where I'm doing 2 pixels at once to maximize the speed of this. I think if I write it in assembly, it can be even faster. But then look, I'm doing the blur version. It's more of my favorite. Now all of this is not a true way. Normally you would have to grab the RGB values, do a lot of bit shifting, individually shade them, interpolate them, but I'm doing some dirty thing where I shift right, but if you shift right the whole pixel, the values will bleed to the next color, next channel. But if you end with values that have zeros and one, that it will clear up the bleed and it will darken things a bit. It kinda works, it's dirty. And here I did some kind of blur where I use the same technique, but I'm always working on packets of pixels. Now on the 3DO also, pixels are like that. They are going into a zigzag manner. They're not linear. So when I'm reading 32 bits, and if I'm in the proper alignment, I'm gonna read 0 and 1. I'm gonna read a pixel and the pixel below. If you blur left, right, okay, maybe you're blurring the left pixel with the right pixels. But if you get the up, down, which I do, and also because of the edges, I say, okay, the above offset and the below is minus screen width plus screen width. and if y coordinate is if you are at line 0 or on the last line, it's hide by half because of the configuration of the zigzag pattern and the fact that I'm reading 32 bits. It's kind of weird as the video. So I found a very dirty way to do some kind of dirty blur that I guess it's much faster than if I individually broke a pixel, and because it worked. And I'm happy that it worked. Let's put the blues. The blues is nice. It's very nice. Now the stars are... You can't even see the stars. I like it. I like it. And this blue is... Which is one square on top of another square that is a bit bigger and creates the edges. And they are all blended. It does... Those squares is the function create backdrop cell, and then I alter some values to do some light blending. I think it's additive blending that I'm doing. So you are here. Control C. Now the sensitivity is a bit different on the real 3DO with the mouse. Oh my god, that's so fast. Okay, we will fix only that. So this is what I was doing mainly. I completed the menu, and I really like the way I have the extra buffer. I have the off-screen buffer that I never show. I use it with my functions, the sport background copying, where in the core, or no, in the system graphics, I added few extra functions. Those were old. I have some good sets of functions. I used to have this one, and you would give it a path to an image. It will call load image, which I think it's a 3DO function that my code emulates it. My 3DO SDK code. And maybe I copied the original code from the 3DO, from the Opera source code. Or it was the 3D lib source code, I don't remember. And so you can have an image on the CD that will be a sport, but I needed to add an extra one, set background image, where I'm passing the pointer, and obviously on game, when I prepare, I give it the back buffer I have created, where I previously either mem copied or blurred from the source image, which was the video RAM buffer, whichever frame is flipped at the current pose. I think that's it. Maybe I should close the video because that's I just like to explain stuff. So I copy the same with the. I have get vram buffer by index, get back buffer. I might have added get back buffer by index now. Or maybe get vram buffer by. I might have added both. Because I also. You might want to get a specific back buffer. I also used to have. Render buffer is the back buffer, really. I used to have a switch. So you are calling. This is really nice. You are calling draw cells. Now, on the 3D API, there is this draw cells with a capital. I have my own with the small. So it's a bit of an indirection, an extra call. Because now I can say, okay, if render to buffer, I'm passing. This is an item. This is a screen item. the back buffer item. Elsa, the bitmap items are the screens. So either I render directly to the screen video or I can call a function to say now every draw cell will render to a back buffer, and then I can switch back. I used this on my experiment. I have some good function. I could do some good render to texture effects. I can switch it on and off. So the next things I'm gonna be rendering in the cell, they are gonna go only this, not the software rendering. I can do the software rendering on the back buffer if I get the back buffer too. They will be rendered in the back buffer, and then I can use the back buffer to maybe render something and get it back as texture and render it again. Anyway, I had these functions, and I might have added few extras so that I can give the back buffer where I copied the frame to the sport. This is the sport input output setups, and say now you don't clear the screen with black, now you have to use this one. And also on the menu, when I return back, I have the set. I need to find it. Set background color 0. This is the background color for the sport. Also, I shouldn't have. Now it's gonna init sport value with the color. It's either the sport right or the sport. It's either the one that it's gonna clear. The sport is the hardware of the 3DO that does fast clearing of screen or fast copy of a single background. So when I return back to the game, I need to set that back, because initially, look what would happen. If when I press select, I'm in the menu now, and I want to go back to the game. That's also fun to watch. Suppose I have this view. When I go back, I didn't make it. It's still copying the screen. So if I go here, I see the screen. The last screen I copied, because now it doesn't clear in the background with. So if I take a screenshot like that, oh, I could maybe. Oh, it's getting darker, darker, darker. I could maybe do some kind of feedback thing. The last frame. No, it's getting darker though. Because you have to set back, when you go back from the menu to the main game, to set back the single color clearing and not the copy of the back buffer that I have the last frame before I paused. And that's it. I might switch for the next week. I might switch to do some other thing. I might. You see, when you start, there are things again. When you start, you see those bars loading. This is very fast, but on 3DO it's slow. It's calculating the lighting. I might try to do the thing I was postponing doing, to change, make the PC version also save, besides the visibility, save light data, so that I load them instantly. But maybe I'll save the generated levels. The levels I was procedurally generating on the 3DO, create level 0, create level 1, and so on, by calling functions that add cave lines, create cave corridor lines that We send the coordinates. I have to do this one here and maybe have an editor at some point. But even here, I'm gonna do it and save some new data that I will load as files. And a lot of this code will disappear from the 3DO side. And maybe I'll copy the levels on the editor side. Except I have some function that I still need on the 3DO side. Yeah, these are some search function for the lighting. Some of these things prepare grid mark. Maybe these things have to be done on the 3DO still. Now see here, these are the visibility stuff I'm loading instead of generating on the 3DO. This is okay. I can search through the grid map, find which of the blocks are gems, which of the blocks are traps, and this might be generating the mesh. I might do it on the 3DO, but the voxel data with the lighting and the visibility, which maybe and the generation, I'll maybe this thing will only happen here on PC, and I'll put it on the editor and all the functions it calls, and maybe this is something I was postponing about refactoring the data and making the load faster, and I could gradually work on this one. And the other thing is, I could, for fun, I might try to do some one or two new weapons, and I might design some polygonal monsters, some abstract thing like blobs and spike balls, and I'll see. And there are things I could do. There are many plans. The mouse is faster than the player speed, but let's see. There are bug to fix. I also fixed the bug where if you started the level by pressing A, which A is the jump button also, it didn't forget it, and then the player was jump all the time. I need to design the screen better. There's a lot of things I can do on. Maybe make the laser when you look up to the direction is not correct. So okay, I can take many directions. I did the options menu for my inverter. Oh, let's change one thing only. Okay, it's not in engine view, it's on. That's okay. We're gonna make. There is nothing. We don't have a fraction. We could do it fraction. That's mouse difference by minus 1. The other thing is we have the rotate view rotate him. We have a viewer road speed. Ah, shit. Viewer road speed. Darn. I might need to do that more carefully. We'll see. Road speed. See, I'm putting something. Oh my god. Okay, I see. I see. Now, that means this road speed is big though. I could change it here, but if I change it here, the rotation speed for the D-pad only will be much slower. I can. That's a big number. I just put something that goes 16 minus 12 is 4096 or something. Now I just use the number that with the D-pad it looks okay. But to not change that, where's the game input? I can say when the mouse, this is the rotation from the mouse, this is the mouse different, the lock speed. I can simply, oh no, rotate viewer. Again, where is the rotate viewer? Oh, if I do I use it? Okay, do I use this both? Wait, wasn't I here? Engine view, engine view. Oh, oh, it's here. I use this both. Okay, I use this both. I can't put this very low. Damn it. This could be something I'll do later. Because yeah, you know what? I'll tell you what. I can say, okay, this is a small. The RXR wires. These are small numbers, but there is also that the viewer road speed is a bigger number. So technically, I could say, I don't know, do this whole thing and shift it by something. Maybe by 2. But of course, there's a problem with that. I'm just experimenting. Maybe I have to do that later. Okay, so now is it slow? It's still sensitivity 8. No, shift it by 4. Make it pretty smooth. Let's say. This is, oh my god, I'm moving the mouse, it's so slow. Yeah, this is what I want. Sensitivity 1 to be, so sensitivity, okay, yeah. Smoother than that, you die. But look now, if it doesn't matter if it's wrong. If I put A, this is the D-pad. It affects also the rotation of the... Okay, so I cannot do that. I use this from both the D-pad and the... I have to refactor that later to think. And the thing is, I cannot simply say at this point, I'm gonna have to put some extra value or something. So I cannot say, okay, if it's the mouse, maybe shift this one by I think because I'm gonna lose precision because this mouse position diff is a small number. The mouse look, it's the other one that is the big number. I'm gonna shift it so much. So now this is good because I haven't affected the function. But now this one. Okay, suppose I. Okay. It goes, but you see it's choppy. It's choppy because I'm affecting it. I'm affecting the small numbers. So I will have to do this shift on that function later for the mouse. Maybe I can put an extra value that, okay, when I call the mouse, put the shift value. Anyway, I was just thinking around this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna jump from thing. I'm gonna do the refactoring for the loading to save the level. Reduce the loading on the 3D side. Calculate everything here. And save in some new file formats. I'm gonna gradually replace that. Another thing is, I might start. I don't have an editor yet. I might still use the manual way. Am I gonna play so that I try new things? So right now, if you load level 3, level 3 is this level. You go deep. I did a run button. You go deep. And then there is more. There is some cave there. And some cave there, and that's it. And for level 4, I ended up doing some. It's the same, but smaller. I just added level 4 for a smaller version so that the speed is a bit. You play some smaller level compared to the other things so that you see a better speed. And I think I'm gonna replace level 4. I'm just for my enjoyment. Level 3, I call it level 3 from 0. I can't change that. So level 4 or level 3 basically, it's this one with fewer caves. Like if you don't do some of them, let's see randomly. I'm remove some of the digging. This is digging. Oh, it loads faster. Oh, why am I dying? Ah, I'm here. Okay, now there is no hole. There is no further. The whole level is that. Because I haven't done the digging. 50 frames. Okay, it's 50 frames because I'm locking it. But this one has the vsync off. It should be on though because I'm doing the sport. If you do the sport copying, the 3D automatically vsyncs. If you do the sport riding like here. So in this framework, I'm locking it at 50 frames. If on the SDK I enable the vsync, just to be consistent. So I'm gonna do some new map, which I want to try some new gimmicks and some new stuff. I might do a lava map. I might do a new texture with lava. And maybe make it like some moving water. I don't know if I can do underwater with this engine. I've seen Matinicus that was doing it. And I might try some other thing. I think the problem I have when you drop down, I did this very steep, and it's tedious to go up. I might try to make a teleport functionality. To have a block where maybe with some particles I have some particles that tell you, okay, if you step in this, it's gonna teleport at another place. And I have to add this, and I have to do some good structure and good design to accommodate for that. And there is more I can try in this one. I want to do some certain views in a big area with bridges, and down there is lava and you have to jump from block to block. And what else? I had more in mind I want to try. I'll make a fourth level so that I play with some more consoles. I'm also thinking of item consoles, like if I make a crafting system, maybe it's too early to talk about. I could make it so that you can craft a jetpack. You can craft double jump powers. Maybe some shoes for double jump. You could of course craft weapon. I'm gonna make some kind of melee weapon, like some I forgot how it's called, some digging tool. And I might also make a similar to the one weapon I have that is gonna throw a projectile, like a rocket launcher, and I have some future ideas. Anyway, I've done few stuff. The video should be smaller, but I'm just discussing what I'm gonna do in the future. So I'll have to leave you now, and probably if not next, I will try to do this every Sunday. If I miss it, I might do it days later. Or maybe if I really didn't work for a week on something, and although that makes me motivated to try to do little things. Bye.